This Week's Game. Episode 1, January 25th, 2014. Guaranteed to be better than The Phantom Menace. This Week's Game is a 10 to 15 minute weekly gaming podcast with recurring segments. I'm your host, Dev Jana. This week we'll have an elevator pitch on Magicnology's Forward to the Sky. The main loop will be knee-jerk reactions to Broken Age Chapter 1, a discussion with myself and Living Tech. And the comments section will be a guest rant on the experience of being an Ouya owner. But first, as always, we have the elevator pitch. So usually, the developer will do the elevator pitch themselves. It'll be a 30-second description of their project and why you should care. But Magicnology, most of their developers are in Taiwan. I think they have a couple in Hong Kong. So they sent me this text, which I'm going to read verbatim for you right now. Forward to the Sky, a game in JRPG art style combining with action-adventure. Balloon up. Explode the sky ruins with a princess, punch the skeletons, break the walls, deal through the traps, and find the fresco pieces to discover the story. Now, there were other options for the first elevator pitch, but I loved that one so much that I had to do it first. It was just so great. You can find out more about Forward to the Sky and Magicnology at magic-nology.com. Martin, cheers.
Broken Age.
Broken Age Chapter 1. Knee-jerk reactions. What you think?
I loved it. I loved the art style, and I especially like the sound. Actually, the voice acting has been surprisingly good, and I often play games with sound off, and I haven't wanted to do that.
Yeah, I never play games with sound off, but the art, I definitely will say I was surprised at how pretty it was. My knee-jerk reaction to the pre-release stills and screenshots were, that looks cute, but I don't know how nice it's going to be, but it was gorgeous. They really juiced the whole thing too.
Yes.
The whole menu was all moving, and it really draws you in with all the details.
Well, sure. I think there's a lot of ambient animation stuff happening that I really love. So just the characters kind of always a little bit active, and backgrounds and stuff. More so than the characters even. The backgrounds are just very lively, and I never feel like I'm seeing. Even though you see the same scenes over and over again, they look pretty good. That you're not bored of them.
Yeah, you definitely return to a lot of the same environments, but there's a lot of secondary and tertiary animation, and they use foreground, middle ground, background really well, so that you never really feel like it's flat,
yes.
Even though it's a very kind of flat art style. As far as the gameplay goes, I was pleasantly surprised how much more it felt like I was playing Full Throttle as opposed to Brutal Legend. Does that make sense? It was a lot more of a classic adventure, classic Tim Schafer adventure game. It didn't seem like it was Brutal Legend. I love Brutal Legend. First of all, full disclosure, actually one of my favorite games of the last console generation. I super hyper enjoyed it. I'm also a huge Jack Black fan and a huge Tim fan, so it kind of made sense. But it felt like it was trying to be what the publishers wanted it to be, and this seems like it's trying to be exactly what they set out to make, which was an old school adventure game, and not even so much pandering to the fan base, which is we're going to get to the whole Kickstarter revolutionizing the publishing things. I know that's a lot more of interest to you, but I was really worried that they were going to just kind of make it fan service, because one of the side effects of Kickstarter funding something is, well, the fans get to go, we actually own you now, and you have to do what we think. But I absolutely love the game so far. I haven't finished it either. I'm only a couple hours into it.
I have seen some online rumblings that people think it's too short, but I've played at least 2 hours, probably more like 3 hours, and I'm not done for sure. So,
yeah, there's Chapter 1.
I think there's plenty of content.
And it's Chapter 1, so we definitely have more content coming.
Yeah. I'm really excited to get to the point where the characters interact. I assume that's coming.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
actually even know if that's in this
chapter
version or not. But right now you can switch back and forth. There's kind of 2 games that you're playing, and that's really fun and something novel that you don't see in a lot of games, I think.
And from a gameplay perspective, what I really dug about that is it gave it a non-linearity that you usually don't get in adventure games. At any point in time you can switch over. And I really like the little details. Schafer always puts in those little details in the personalities, but the way that you interact, even just with your cereal, was just something that did not have to be there that I really enjoyed. They're hinting at bigger story arcs in it too. Let's talk about Kickstarter for a little bit, because this is obviously the game that revolutionized. I ran a Kickstarter campaign for an old band of mine for like $200, and everybody was like, "What the heck is Kickstarter?" This is, this is before. This is when I don't think you still have to have an Amazon login now, but back then, I mean, this was like.
You might still.
Oh, you might.
Yeah.
This was like 2010 or something. It was a long time ago. No, everybody was like, "What the heck is Kickstarter? I don't want to sign up for this." And then about a year later, it was really this that broke open the doors. And I would see a ton of really small games getting funded into like 20, 30, 50,000s that normally nobody would even have known about before.
Yeah.
And so that's really a revolutionary way to approach the games, and everybody understood that. But what did you think about as a backer, as somebody who backed it on that premise? I backed it from more the gameplay side.
So I was just going to say, you mentioned earlier that you you basically haven't watched any of the Kickstarter videos.
I wanted to go in completely blind.
Which is crazy, because that's why I backed it. I don't care about the game. I mean, I'm happy that I have it, and I'm actually really enjoying it. But I backed it for those videos. I backed it because, mostly for, not forgetting the guys, the video guys that do it, but they made that indie game movie.
Yeah.
And they've had they also had a documentary about Notch and Minecraft. Yeah. And both of those are both really good. Yeah. And actually, like, you're depriving yourself for not having watched the videos, because they are of equal caliber, and they're shorter, so that you watch like this 20-minute video and you get that same I don't know, it's like a warm blanket of conclusion at the end of indie game movie, or like
Yes, Notch and the Story of Minecraft, by the way, that's free on YouTube now. They put it up
really?
a couple months ago, so make sure you check it out. It's fantastic. I've watched it like 5 times.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something that I wanted to go into it, because like Day of the Tentacle I still hold as like one of the beginnings of gaming, of PC gaming for me. Yeah. That was like, I saw that, I was like, what the heck? I didn't know that stuff like that existed, and that was really kind of the beginning of it for me. And then Grim Fandango was really kind of the swan song, I guess, at the time. But so I wanted to go in completely ignorant of the story and in what they were doing. Actually, all I knew about it, of Broken Age itself, and not just the Kickstarter thing, all I knew about it was the the celebratory video that they had. And then at GDC, at the Choice Awards last year, Tim was hosting, and they showed like the teaser at the end, and I was like, cool, I'm putting the blinders on, I'm going into the game, and that was it. I know, and I have gotten a few people like, oh, what do you think about that? I was like,
you're crazy.
I know, I probably
so
am, but is there as a developer, is there one of your favorite takeaways from watching those?
Man. I can't even think of a single moment.
There's too many.
It's great, yeah. I mean, one of the things that you get to see is kind of walking through their space, walking through Double Fine, and there's
the physical space.
Yeah, the physical space, and you see like all the little pods, and people crowding around, and I'm sure half those are probably staged, but it's really fun to see, like, that's somebody's desk who makes, these amazing games, and that for me is really fun.
All right, cool, thank you.
I can say, like, definitively there are 3 things that suck about the Ouya. And the first one is the fact that there's no real good original games on it. There's no, like, exclusive, like, you gotta buy the console type thing. It's all ports of tablet games that are kind of rushed, and emulators, which are actually pretty good, and they're well received. I think they're the best games on there. Second thing is, like, if you just hold the controller for a second, it just feels like one iteration away from being, like, pretty good. Like, it's obviously really based on the 360 controller, but I feel like they're just like one detail away from being good. I feel like the middle finger, if you ever pick one up, your middle finger will not be in the right spot. The third thing is, and I don't know if this is me or anything, but I was sitting in my room and it was on, and I straight heard footsteps coming out my speakers, and I was like, what the f? Like, where is that coming from? And I went over the TV and, like, I checked the volumes or whatever, and then I turned off the Ouya and the footsteps stopped. So I was like, oh no, this is just what Ouya needs. Not only do their consoles suck, like 1 and 5 are coming off the line like Haunted, like Christine, Bad to the Bone starts playing, man. It's just a very disappointing thing.
And with that, it is time for Patch Notes. This is the ending segment of the program where I wrap everything up and also let you guys know what will be happening in the following program. First and foremost, I want to thank Will Dramstad for the excellent comment section on what it's like to own a haunted Ouya. And Martin Grider, of course, also known as Living Tech, for the discussion on Broken Age Chapter 1. Make sure you follow both of those guys. Keep up with their projects. Next week, we'll have an elevator pitch for Scraps, which is a really fun and interesting looking vehicular combat and customization game. We'll have an interview with the CEO of Tytale Studios regarding Novus Eterno. And this is a huge scale space strategy game that they're developing in Switzerland. It has reached more than 225% of its funding goal in Kickstarter, and if you're like me and you love big, huge, epic space stuff, it's definitely something you want to check out. The comment section next week will be on the perks of having a current generation system at the end of a console cycle. Now, the links to everything discussed is on ThisWeeksGame.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also follow me on Twitter at DevJenna. If you've got a suggestion for a project or topic that we should cover, just let me know. I'll talk to you next week.